I think we need to change the perception of fantasy football rankings. There's too many people out there acting like their rankings are the greatest rankings ever. Listen, I can't see the future, and I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Fantasy football rankings are opinions backed up by factual information. But my opinions probably won't be the same as your opinions. But instead of freaking out because our rankings don't match, what we really need to be doing is listening to each other's opinions, different points of views on certain players, because when we come together as a community, that's when the best damn rankings ever are made. So today we're going to be looking at my top 50 overall players in fantasy football here for 2023. I'm pulling the information right out of our draft guide. If you haven't gotten yours yet, no, it's not too late. Head over to thefantasyheadliners.com. Get yourself a draft guide right now. The links are down below in the description. But we're not wasting a whole lot of time here at the start of the show. I'm not going to act like I've reinvented the wheel of rankings and that I can see the future. It's not my style. We're diving right into the rankings, so do me a favor, if you enjoy that, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, because if this video can get over 1,000 likes, I'm going to give a draft guide away to somebody who leaves a comment down below, so don't miss out on this opportunity. Let's go ahead and dive right in and pull up our rankings. So let's start off right here, number one, and let's just fly through this list as quick as we can. Justin Jefferson, number one. I love the addition of Jordan Addison. Could pull away that defensive attention. We know Jefferson's going to score a butt ton of points. Two, Christian McCaffrey does a little bit of everything there in San Francisco. We may not know who the quarterback is going to be, but we do know it's Christian McCaffrey going to get the ball a lot. Number three, Austin Eckler. Still love Austin Eckler. Now we have a new offense here with offensive coordinator Kellen Moore out of Dallas, and we have also some more weapons on the outside with Quentin Johnston. Austin Eckler going to get his. He's at number three. Four, Jamar Chase out of Cincinnati. This guy I absolutely love this year. If he could just stay healthy for all 17 games, he's going to challenge Justin Jefferson for that number one spot. Five, Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants. A better overall offense now for New York. More scoring opportunities for Saquon, plus a lot of injury-riddled wide receivers once again, which could lead us to a lot more targets in the backfield for Saquon Barkley. Which will take us to number six, Jonathan Taylor, looking for that bounce back year here in a different offense in Indianapolis, looking for a lot of special RPO plays here with Anthony Richardson now under center. Got Jonathan Taylor at 6. 7, this is where I got Bijan, and a lot of people just want to put him up there in the top 3. The guy's going to have a pretty epic rookie year just to finish right here at 7th overall, even though it's a run-heavy team behind a good offensive line. Got Bijan at 7, Tyreek Hill right now at number 8. We saw last year with him and Tua, big numbers, right? A lot of people expected a downfall for Tyreek Hill because he didn't have Patrick Mahomes anymore. Not the case. And even if we don't have Tua, if we lose him at some point throughout the year, now we got Mike White as a backup quarterback who is definitely better than Skylar Thompson, who we saw last season. So I got Hill at 8. 9, this is where I have Cooper Kupp. Really going to be option 1, 2, and 3 in that offense. Back with Matthew Stafford here this year. Number 10, Travis Kelce. Obviously inside everybody's top 12. Travis Kelce will be the number 1 tight end for everyone, and really after Travis Kelce, it's a crapshoot at the tight end position. 11 is Nick Chubb, no more Kareem Hunt. Do we see more pass catching work going the way of Nick Chubb, or do we see a little bit more Jerome Ford? In an overall better offense in Cleveland, Nick Chubb could see more touchdowns. Got him at 11. Number 12 is where I have Stefan Diggs. You know he's going to rack up a ton of receptions in Buffalo. 13, CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. Different offense in Dallas, but what we absolutely love is the addition of Brandon Cooks. He'll stay on the outside, which allows CeeDee Lamb to stay in the slot. That's fantasy football gold right there for CeeDee Lamb. Number 14, Josh Jacobs coming back to the Raiders. Going to be a different offense there as well. Devontae Adams still on the outside to pull defenders outside of the box. The problem is, who's the quarterback going to be? Is it really going to be Jimmy G? Is he healthy enough to start? A lot of question marks surrounding the Raiders. So what we do know, they're going to run the ball a lot. And Josh Jacobs is in line to get a lot of those touches. Number 15, this is where I have the king, Derrick Henry. And I hate to even put him this low, but when you look at Tennessee, as of right now, at the time of this recording, they're still in the hunt to land DeAndre Hopkins. And if that were to happen, we can kind of see this offense starting to turn into a little bit more of a passing offense, especially since they drafted Will Levis here this offseason. I don't want to say that Derrick Henry's best days are behind him. I think that we see more wide receivers creeping up early, and that has pushed Derrick Henry down a little bit here to number 15. which will then take us to 16. This is where I have A.J. Brown, the super stack between him and Jalen Hurts. Once again, love myself some A.J. Brown. 17, Ramondre Stevens season part due, right? No more Damian Harris. He's gone. He's in Buffalo. Nobody really added to the backfield for Ramondre Stevenson here, and we've seen them add the likes of a Juju Smith-Schuster on the outside to really try to draw some of those defenders outside, but we know Ramondre has no issues catching passes out of the backfield. Got him at number 17. 18 then is where I have Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys. Remember, no more Kellen Moore, no longer the offensive coordinator there in Dallas. What do we see as a change with the usage of Tony Pollard now that we don't have an early round running back like Ezekiel Elliott on the roster? Hopefully they don't run this guy into the ground, because if they start giving him 22 touches a week, including between the tackles, we could see Tony Pollard wear down a little bit quicker than what we would like, so right now got him at 18. 19 is Aaron Jones, Green Bay Packers. I love Aaron Jones this year, and I really expect Green Bay to rely heavily on the running game to take some pressure off of first-year starter Jordan Love. The big play guy in this backfield, it's Aaron Jones, got him at 19. 20 then is Amon-Ra St. Brown out of Detroit. The only reason he's not higher is after the first 6 weeks of the season, Jamison Williams will come back into this offense, and he will be a factor second half of the season. We may see a huge start to the season for Amon-Ra, but he may slightly slow down once we get to the middle of the season and onward. 21, Garrett Wilson, New York Jets. Everyone wants this guy to be like a top 5 wide receiver. And yes, he's going to get improved quarterback play, and I love Garrett Wilson, but having him anywhere inside your top 12 wide receivers is slightly risky. Now, he will be in mine, but right now, overall, got him at 21. 22, Najee Harris, an improved offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know they want to run more. Najee at 22. 23, Jalen Waddle. I mentioned with Tyreek Hill that if we were to lose Tua, now we have Mike White as a backup option, and I love that insurance policy there in Miami, so I got Waddle at 23. 24 is Davante Adams. I know I probably have him lower than almost everyone, but like I mentioned earlier with Josh Jacobs, who's throwing the football in Las Vegas? It could be Jimmy G, and if it is, that's not a good thing for Davante Adams. Davante Adams is a deep ball wide receiver who really benefits from the big plays. Who doesn't throw the ball deep down the field? Who doesn't get very many big plays? It's Jimmy G. This is not a match made in heaven. That's why I have Adams all the way down to 24. Then 25 is where I have Travis Etienne out of Jacksonville. All this Tank Bigsby talk, okay, it gives us something to talk about in this offseason, but he's not taking the job away from Travis Etienne and now a more explosive overall offense with more scoring opportunities. That was the only thing missing last year for Travis Etienne was the touchdowns. He could see a lot more opportunities this year. I got him at 25. 26 is Miles Sanders, who's now in Carolina, no longer in Philadelphia. They're going to commit to him in Carolina, an above-average offensive line, and now an offense full of some veteran wide receivers that can really help out new quarterback Bryce Young. So I got Miles Sanders at 26. 27, my first quarterback, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. This guy just routinely finishes inside the top 2 at the position, so we need to make sure that we're drafting him as such. Now, I've said in videos earlier, maybe last week or earlier this week, that the earlier quarterback, the 3rd, 4th, 5th round or so, I'm getting on board with here this year. It just all depends at the options that you have, and I'm not going to reach for any of those guys. How about 28? This is where I have T. Higgins, the wide receiver 2 in Cincinnati. We know he can put up big numbers even with Jamar Chase in the lineup, and if any of these guys were to go down, increased volume to the other, T. Higgins still at 28, 29. A potential breakout at the wide receiver position, Chris Olave. Love the combination of him and Derek Carr. We were talking about Davante Adams a minute ago, how he doesn't mesh with the game of Jimmy G. Derek Carr meshes perfectly with Chris Olave, and a lot of the same things we saw last year with Davante Adams, we could be seeing this year with Chris Olave, so he's at 29. And then 30, this is where I have Breece Hall, a little bit lower than other people as well. The guy's still coming off of a major knee injury. There's a chance that he starts the season slow. There's a bigger chance this year that he deals with soft tissue injuries like we see all the time with players returning from ACL injuries. I'm a little bit worried, so I dropped him a little bit lower to number 30. Then at 31 is where I have Kenneth Walker. Seattle Seahawks would love to have him higher, but the Seahawks just went out in the NFL draft and they took our buddy Zach Charbonnet there to Seattle, and he's going to get some touches in this backfield. I really look at Zach Charbonnet the exact same way that we looked at Kenneth Walker just last year. If anything happens to Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet is going to step into a big role, and you better believe he's going to get some touches early. However, to start the season, the number 1 running back in Seattle is going to be Kenneth Walker. How about 32? Joe Mixon, a huge discount for Joe Mixon here this year. Why did he fall so low? It's because we've boosted up so many many wide receivers ahead of him. He's still going to be a guy who is verge top 12. He's going to be a headache. He's going to irritate you at times. But they didn't add anybody this offseason of note that's really going to challenge him for touches, so got Joe Mixon at 32. 33 is Devontae Smith. He really came on strong second half of the season. Can he put it together for a full 17-game season? One of the biggest stacks last year in football was Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, who were only a couple points per game behind Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, so I got Devontae Smith at 33. 34 is Amari Cooper, finishing inside the top 12 last year, but now they've added more weapons in Cleveland with Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore. How much do we really see of Amari Cooper? I still think we see a fair amount. That's why I got him sitting right here at 34. And then 35, Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles. Can he duplicate what we saw last year? Why not? I mean, nothing has really changed in this offense. Sure, the backfield is different. The same receiving weapons out there for him. So I really don't see why he's going to take that big of a step backwards. I got Jalen Hurts at 35 overall, which will then take us to 36. It's Alexander Mattison of the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of people aren't giving enough credit to Alexander Mattison. So we wait all this time for Dalvin Cook to either be injured or hurt to use Alexander Mattison. And when he is used, he looks pretty freaking good. And then when Dalvin Cook is released, people are like, not interested. I don't understand that philosophy, not for the other options they have on their roster right now. Alexander Mattison on the field is basically a Dalvin Cook clone at times. Sure, the ceiling may not be there like we've seen for Dalvin Cook, but definitely a solid running back too, so I got him at 36, 37. This is where I have DJ Moore. I love the pairing here this year with him and Justin Fields. Fields needed an alpha wide receiver. DJ Moore needed a change of scenery. It happened for both of them. And then we have 38, Keenan Allen, LA Chargers. I really believe that Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston are going to be fighting for those big plays down the field. All the receptions underneath, they're going the way of Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen once again, so I got him at 38. 39 then's where I have Jahmyr Gibbs out of Detroit. We saw the NFL rushing leader last year come out of Detroit. Nobody really expected that last year, and if it would have happened, a lot of people preseason would have expected it to be DeAndre Swift. Well, he's gone. He's in Philadelphia. They've drafted Jahmyr Gibbs early in the NFL draft. You know that's the guy they wanted, and you saw how excited they were when they got him. They're going to move this guy all over the field, and especially the first half of the season, with no Jameson Williams, we could see more Jahmyr Gibbs in the slot. So I got him at 39. 40, Patrick Mahomes. Do I really need to sell Patrick Mahomes to you? Probably not at this point. 41 though, this is where I have Isaiah Pacheco, who's going to be a lot higher than a lot of people have him. And Pacheco is in a perfect opportunity to take all the early down work, all the goal line work, and that could result in big numbers for Isaiah Pacheco. 10 plus touchdowns is not out of the question for him here this year. He's at 41. 42, this is where I have my next tight end is TJ Hawkinson. And I said earlier this offseason, if I thought any tight end could challenge Travis Kelce for that number one overall spot, the one name that wouldn't surprise me if it happened would be TJ Hawkinson. The guy is a volume target monster in Minnesota, so he's at 42. 43, the return of Calvin Ridley in Jacksonville. The only reason he's maybe not a little bit higher is because this team has a ton of targets on offense. We still have Evan Ingram. We still have Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. We've talked about Travis Etienne already. Calvin Ridley will be the number one wide receiver in Jacksonville. Is he what he was just a few years ago, or has he lost a step? That's the biggest question mark surrounding Calvin Ridley, but I still like him here this year. And then 44, I have Mark Andrews, my next tight end. Honestly, Mark Andrews is going to have to contend with more people for targets this year than maybe he's ever had to, right? I mean, we know that Rashad Bateman is back. Now they've drafted Zay Flowers. They have Odell Beckham. They have Isaiah Likely as another promising young tight end. It's not just the Mark Andrews show anymore. That's why I've dropped him down to 44. 45 is Joe Burrow, safe, solid, consistent. Dude's going to go out there, throw for over 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns every single year that he's healthy, so he's at 45. 46 is where I have Debo in San Francisco. This one is really going to depend on who plays quarterback the most in San Francisco. If it's Trey Lance, I'm going to like Debo Samuel a little bit more. If it's Brock Purdy, probably not so much. As of right now, it's trending towards being Brock Purdy, so Debo's at 46. 47 is Dalvin Cook, and we don't even know where he's going to play. Now, there's rumors out there that he could go to the Jets. that he could go to Miami. Miami would vault him up these rankings and be a great landing spot for him. If he goes to the Jets, he's probably going to fall a little bit because we do know that Breece Hall is still there. Number 48, this is where I have Justin Fields, a potential breakout quarterback here in 2023. People just want to say he's a running back. I don't care what you want to call him. He's got upgraded weapons at the wide receiver position, and he can run, so he's inside my top 50 at 48. 49 is DeAndre Swift, now in Philadelphia. He needed a fresh start. He also needs to stay on the damn field, and if he can do that in Philadelphia, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Miles Sanders type season from him here this year, right around 1,200 yards, flirting with double-digit touchdowns. And then number 50, it's DK Metcalf in Seattle. Now, a lot of people may want to have him a little bit higher, but with Tyler Lockett and now JSN in the mix, especially with a backfield of Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, we're seeing less and less committed volume going the way of DK Metcalf, and the big plays are starting to dwindle. He's becoming a little bit more safer than ceiling, and that's why he's at number 50. So there you have my top 50 overall players for fantasy football here in 2023, but we just passed July 4th. A lot of things are going to change throughout the offseason. What I always tell people is it's best to establish a baseline when it comes to building rankings. That way, from now all the way up until week 1 of the NFL season, we can make adjustments based off of information that we find, and that's how we all come to the conclusion of the best possible rankings ever. So like I said, I'm sure my rankings may not match your rankings. Put those comments down below in the comment section, and as a community, let's put together the best rankings that we possibly can, because we know everybody's end goal is to win a fantasy championship, to walk away with a trophy or a belt or a ring or cash in your pocket, and that's what we're going to accomplish here in 2023. So like I said, do me a favor, hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, because you definitely want to be a part of this community all season long, and then do your part to make the world a better place.